Hello everyone. So we will not meet virtually, so I'll be making this video for your guide of your plate number 4. So let me explain. By the way, this is the content of your plate number 4. It is still an orthographic drawing, or I named it pictorial drawing with ellipse. So I will be focusing on how to do the ellipse, which come from a circle in your three views. So by the way, this is the final output of your plate, and this is the one which you can see in the canvas which I uploaded or published. So similar to your previous plates, just don't include the red dimensions here, because this is for your guide only, the distances of your objects based on the center line of your drawing area or your paper space. So the objective for now for me is to do this part of your drawing. Okay, so I will not concentrate or focus more on this one, because this is standard, or it's easy for you to do this. So you just do lines and then circles and then put dimensioning. But since doing the isometric ellipse is new to you, so I will explain this, the step by step on how to do this isometric view, right? So just follow according to my instruction on where to position the circles, or I mean the center line of the circle, and then how to form the arc. So by the way, the arc, I think you might ask how to do it. Obviously there is an arc command here, but doing the arc command sometimes it's not perfect, because you have to locate three location for that, which is at least you know this point already, so you can do that way. Okay, so but if, for example, what if there's nothing there, how you can draw the arc? So you cannot find the right point here, so which is it's difficult for you to do, so you are not sure if this is really correct or not. So instead, by doing the correct arc, is you have to draw a circle like that, and then you just trim and then use this one and this one, the lines, and then you can remove that one. So that's how easy is the arc is. Alright, so similar to the others, just locate the center or the pivot point of your arc, but the center of your circle. So then just trim, then you can complete. Okay, so as I said, I will focus on this one, on how to do it based on the dimensions. Alright, so regardless of those lines, which is I use a guideline and then dotted line. So I just leave it there. So if you don't want that to appear, you can turn off your guideline. So just include this in your guidelines, I mean this dotted line as your guide. So to start, I will do a construction line. Okay, I will use the same location of the starting point, but I will make it below, just next to that, so that I can use the dimensions, or I will open the file here so that I will know exactly the the dimension by not zooming in with this drawing. So doing the isometric, you can, you use obviously lines. So in your plate number 3, I explained that you can draw, or you can set rather your drafting settings, and then you turn on isometric snap, and then okay, so you can turn this mouse cursor into different direction and locking to a certain angle in your isometric drawing. So the dimension of your object is we can use 60 here, and then 60, and then another 60 to the left, and then 60, and then another 60. So that is basically your base. And then for the height, we need to establish the height, which is 90. So I'll make 90, and then 60 here, 60, and then instead of drawing again, I can use, or I can copy this and then draw or connect those. So the center lines that I created is obstructing my projection, so I will use dotted line so that it will not overlap the object. Okay, so that's our guide for our isometric. So I will use also, because that is only the guide, so I will use dotted line. And then we have, this is by the way the solid finish of your object. So this is how it looks when it is done. If in a realistic view, this is how does it look, while in your isometric, this is what what you're going to do, or you will create. Alright, so we have a thickness here of this part, which is 10, and 10 here, and then we will create that curve. So in order to do that, we can use here 10, then we will go down. So since we have a thickness here of 10, we have to go down 80 only, and then move here, and 60 only 50, and then we go down. Okay, and then I will copy this, copy, then I'll bring it to the other side, and then I will just connect this one, connect, connect, connect. So then later on we will do the curve here on this part, the same thing, or at the same time here also. Alright, and then here. So now we already I will not draw a line here because this is a curving part of the object. So now we will locate all the centers of the ellipse or the circles in our three views. So I need to locate this. Where is this? Where is this? And where are these two arcs, as well as here? So we need to locate how many locations of centers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And where is that? Center of big circles here. There are 2. So center is 20, 30. So exactly in the middle of this one. Okay, so I will just draw guide, and then vertical distance from top, that is 10, 20, 25, 20, it's here. So sorry, so that you will know where what I'm talking about. So center of this is we need to measure 10, 10, 20 plus 20 is 40. So we will locate this downward by 20. So instead of drawing that one, I will draw exact length of line, so 40. Okay, so that's the center of the bigger circle in our front view. Okay, so that's one. And then the others, we need to locate here 2 and then another 2 here. So what is the distance of that? 10 from the corners. Okay, so I can draw 10 and then another 10. So I overlap already because I've drawn 2 lines here, so I need to remove that one. It's not good to have lines overlapping each other. So since we need only the center of this one here, which is that one, so actually later on we can remove that one. So another one here, I'll just make a line 10 and then another 10, and that's it. So I can remove the other line there. Okay, so 2 centers, one here and one here, and then on top also is the same. I'll draw 10 and then I will go down 10. I remove this one. Okay, and then this one here 10, and then sorry, I pressed the wrong command. Line, either you go down or you turn the mouse cursor 10 and then go down by 10, and that's it. So 1 2 3 4 5 and another one on this side, which is the distance of that is this here. So from here to here is 20 and 20, and then we can create this radius. So how to do that? You can use the corner here 20 and then go here by 20. So that is our center. Alright, so no need to draw on the other side, because later on once we create the arc here, we can just copy there. Alright, so to do the ellipse, take note, it was not mentioned in your plate number 3 because this is the first time that I required you to do an ellipse. So the command will be this one. Okay, so it's ellipse, and you need to locate certain reference in order for you to create an isometric ellipse. So check the command line. You have an option here, arc center isocircle. So we need, every time we do an isometric ellipse, we need to use the isocircle. So with that, you need to type I for isocircle, enter, and then based on the orientation of the mouse cursor, we can do an ellipse on this part and this part, while this one here, it's not applicable. We need to turn the mouse cursor this way so that we can draw an ellipse here. And for this one, you need to turn again to do the other one like that. Okay, so 3 orientation of the ellipse. Okay, so we will start now. Again, I ellipse command and then type I for isocircle. So don't forget always to type I as your option. So radius of our circle or ellipse here is 20 and 15. So I'll enter 20 for the first radius, and then again I will repeat the ellipse. I will just press enter because I set the setting of my CAD that the last command, I can recall that last command using enter, by pressing enter in the keyboard. Okay, so again I will type I for isocircle and then locate the center, and the inner part radius is 15, and like that. Alright, so I've done the circle there, or ellipse in isometric. Then I will do the others as well. So here I need to do 2. So I'll change the cursor of my mouse that way, and then again I'll use ellipse and then type I for isocircle, and then the radius here is 5. So enter 5, and then instead of doing another ellipse, all I need is click that one and then just copy to bring it to the other side. And outside here we need also an ellipse, so I mean the arc corner of the object. So the radius of that is, so I need to use again ellipse command, type I, and then radius, I can just, instead of typing 10, I can use the end point of that line, and then I will copy this to have on the other side. And below here we also need an arc from the outside. This one we don't need, this one, because it cannot be seen below. So instead we just copy this, copy using this line as guide for your thickness. You can use the endpoints of that line. Okay, so that's the complete part of the arcs. So later on I'll show you on how to trim those ellipse. Okay, so we'll proceed these two here. I will turn the mouse cursor, and then the same process, ellipse I for isocircle, and then we have an internal or a hole here with a radius of 5, so I'll enter 5, and then repeat the ellipse, type I, and then use the endpoint of the guide or the line, and then copy this to the other side, copy, use this line, endpoint of lines, and copy on the other side. So we need this also on the other side, so I'll highlight the 3 ellipses, copy, and then use the center to copy on the other side. Okay, so we are beginning to form the ellipse or the isometric of the object. So we need 2 arcs here, so I'll change again the cursor of my mouse cursor. So again I need ellipse command and type I for isocircle again, and then using this one I will just click my mouse and then recall the last command, type I, isocircle, and then use the other end of that line. So we completed already this area, so we need it also there. So always make sure that the location of your base point is correct. So we will use this base and there to copy this ellipse. So copy, my second point of displacement is this one. So you check what is the instruction in the command line. So first point, and then our second point will be here. Okay, so that's it. So we need the front portion of the ellipse. So we already created the inner part here, which partly we have to delete. So this time we will copy it forward. So how much is the distance of that from this? We created the ellipse on this part, on this surface. So we need to copy by a distance of 30. Alright, so we need to create a guideline from here. We need to draw a line, length of 30, and type 30 and enter. So we need to copy these 2 ellipses from here to here. Okay, So that's the front portion of the ellipse. We copied it forward. So now it's time for us to trim down those unwanted ellipse or part of an ellipse that we created. Okay, so guidelines, I can convert or I can change that to guidelines already, so that it will not be very visible that it's overlapping the ellipse already. So at least it's a little bit clean when you look at it. This one we don't need this also, or we can delete that one because there is an existing guidelines already. So this one I can delete. Even this one, actually the straight line you can delete, but instead of deleting this, we just trim it because we still need it to trim the ellipse. Okay, we will start from this first corner. So basically we don't need the inner part here of the bigger ellipse. So the command is trim, enter, use these two lines and then enter. That is your cutting line, and then you remove this one. Alright, and then this straight line, you don't need this because you only wanted this arc. So again, use trim, enter, click this one. So it's a reverse. Previously we created this, or we use this as our trim line. This time we use the arc to trim the straight line. Then after you select the cutting line, you press enter and then click this one and click. So we've done the upper part. At the bottom, we don't need the inner part. It's supposed to be not there. So similar to the upper part, we use trim and then use this one as our cutting line, enter, and trim this one. So we've done this corner. Later on we will connect it with straight lines, right? So we'll do this part, trim, use this line and then enter and remove this. Same thing with here, use the arc, enter and then remove. So this one we technically we need the whole ellipse. Below we don't need the arc or part of ellipse from here to here. So again, trim, use this line. So your guidelines is very important. Enter. By the way, if your guidelines or construction lines are not in the right location or right position, which for example it's not touching your ellipse, the ellipse that you created, you cannot use it as a cutting line when you trim your lines. So just remember that. Okay, so by the way, the bottom part of our remaining ellipse here, half of this we will not need because it will be partly hidden, because we need the line here as the edge of the object. So like that. So this one we need to trim down. Trim, enter, use this line and remove this. Okay, so we are beginning to form our object. This one we will just connect it by line, and then this one obviously we don't need this. We used this previously to copy the upper ellipse, to copy it downward. So I can remove this one now. Okay, like that. So next we will trim this ellipse here. So it's the same process. Use this one to trim this. Okay, use the arc to trim these two corners. Use these guidelines to trim this. So we're done, and then connect with line to here. Alright, so the other side we will do it later because it will be partly hidden with this one. Probably we will not use, or we will not be needing those ellipse behind. So we will finish the corner first. So this one, same process. We will delete this one because there is a guideline there already. Okay. Okay, this one no. Undo. Yeah, change it to guideline. Okay. And even this one, we'll use this as guideline. This one as well. Okay. Then later on, we'll just connect it by continuous line. So trim. Use this line. Remove. So that is done. Here in front, trim, and then remove. We're done already. So connect with continuous line, and on the other side we need the arc here also. So before that, we'll create a line here. Let's limit. Okay, then trim. Use trim. So instead of using this one, we can use this line to trim the unwanted part of this ellipse. So trim, enter, and remove. So part here is done. And then trim this, trim, use this line and this line, trim and remove, and then connect. Alright, so since this is partly hidden, we will do the first this bigger ellipse. So we'll just connect this. By the way, you will notice that some symbols are appearing. So this one, for example, this is perpendicular, this one is quadrant. Okay, quadrant of a circle or ellipse. So in order to turn on that one, you just go to drafting settings. You can find it here, object snap. So where is that? This one, you have to click this one, quadrant. Otherwise, if it's unchecked, then every time you bring your mouse cursor on the quadrant of the circle or ellipse, it will not appear. I mean the symbol, which is a diamond. Okay, so take note on that. Okay, so here it's appearing in the quadrant. That makes your work accurate if you turn on that function. Okay, so that's the part. And then this one, this is hidden already, so instead of deleting, I can convert that to dotted line. And then this one, obviously it should not be there, so I have to delete or trim, remove. The front portion, basically you need the complete 2 ellipses, so that's it. This is the last one because this is partly hidden with this portion, the tube portion of your object. So this one, obviously we don't need it. Either you delete it totally or you can convert that into guideline. So here, take note, there is a portion here wherein this should be the part of the object. So instead of removing this, you have to trim it because part of that ellipse you still need it. So this line, obviously it will end only on the intersection of the ellipse, so we will use the ellipse to trim that line, enter, and then remove. So continuation of that straight line is an arc, which is a portion of the ellipse. So meaning this ellipse, all we need only is this portion. So how to trim it? Since we know already that this part is hidden or blocked by this, covered or blocked by this part, we can trim that down. Okay, so it is not there anymore, so it's visible now, the tube part of the object. So for this one, since we still need portion of the ellipse from end of the straight line to here, so we will use this line straight line to trim the parts which we don't use or we don't need, and that's how you complete your drawing. So one line missing, here you just connect it to here, and that's the overall appearance of your isometric view. So as you can see, we already created the same thing based on your reference. Alright, so that's the full content of your plate number 4. So this one I will not explain anymore. All you need to do is just copy. This is the reference to create your isometric ellipse. Alright, so that ends our video tutorial for your plate number 4, and yeah, you can proceed your activity or your work. Thank you.